Hey kiddos, we've been talking about texture for quite a bit, and what I want to do actually with you guys is teach you how to draw kind of a cartoon flame. So the thing I see sometimes kids try to draw flames and they go and the flames just they're like lumpy and the points are all weird and kind of crisscross over each other and like it looks really weird, right? You're just doing it, you're like what am I doing? How do I make this into flames? And instead it's just kind of this like abstract squiggle. So, there is a method to doing flames. And really, the key of it is that your brain knows what a flame looks like. You've seen a fire before, you've seen flames in some way, shape, or form. And so, when you can't draw them right, your brain knows, even though you can't really explain, or your eye knows, even though your brain can't really explain why it doesn't know. That sounds weird, but really, just the thing is, you do so much recognition of things without even thinking about it that sometimes actually stopping to think about it is harder. So, here's what we're going to do. First up, take your paper, and you're going to want to put it, in this case, this is called the portrait way. That means that the longer part is top to bottom, okay? So what you're going to do with me right now is you're going to draw some mountains, okay? I know I said flames, but we're going to do mountains. And here's why, and I'll show you in a second. You're going to make some very tall, very pointy, oh my gosh, I would never climb these mountains. And the thing is, the mountains in the middle are the mountains I want you to make the tallest. Actually, the very tallest mountain should be in the center of the paper. Have them kind of stair stepping down. You can make some of them a little taller than others as you go down the side. They don't have to be totally, like a stair step going down. But you're going to go from one corner of your paper to the other. All right, this is a good start. Now I know what you're thinking. Mr. King, we said flames. Aha. But this is why you have a pencil and an eraser. Because when we draw our flames, we are going to use these mountains, these very scary looking mountains, as a guide. And the thing is, the tallest part of your flame is also going to be in the center, just like the center mountain was very tall. The reason being that if you build a fire, the fuel burns the hottest in the middle, pretty obviously, right? Like if you were to touch the very edge of a fire, it's not going to be as hot as the very middle of the fire. So the heat ignites the air burns, that's where you get the flame, and it's eating the oxygen basically. And so the top, the center, where it's the hottest, where there's the most going on, the most fuel burning, is where that flame is going to reach the highest. Okay, so that's why we have that really, really tall center. Now, check this out. We're just going to add a little flourish to this, barely any actually, to make these really look like nice flames. So what you're going to do is some of these lines on the side of your flames, you're going to curve a little bit back and forth, kind of snake the edges. So don't worry about crisscrossing a little bit there, but I would say go outside of what you've got there. So I'm going to make these kind of wiggly lines going on the outside. I'm just going to follow the edges of my mountain. I'm going to go from one peak to the other, and you can actually do a little bit heavy. Like, look how hard I curled that one. Now, the one thing you can't do is the point of your curl can't face down. And that is because when flames go and they build up, they actually curve upwards. They're always trying to reach higher. Okay, they burn up. Flames don't burn down, really. I mean, you can have flames come down on something, but only while the flame itself is going up. That's why if you take like a match and you hold it so that the match head is facing up, it burns relatively slowly. But if you flip the match over and the flames want to burn up and they're burning up towards the wood that you're holding, oh man, you're going to burn your fingers really fast. So always remember that. Other cool thing, here's a fun one. Ever in a forest fire? Always, always run downhill. The flames will go so much slower going downhill than they would uphill. So I don't think anyone in here is ever going to use that bit of information, but it's a really cool thing to think about. Like, oh yeah, like that makes sense. So I'm having those flames curve up. Always have that kind of at least diagonally pointed up, those little curls that you're making. What you can actually do too is like see on the side of this one, I've got all this open space. I'm actually going to make another little peak, and it's a nice one, maybe even two. And I'm getting more confident as I'm going along. So this time I'm going to do two. So you can do a little bit of that. It looks kind of like a can opener up here, or like a beak of a bird. So you're going to do that. Let's do one more like that, where we do like a double-tipped flame, okay? And then this last one, boom. And you see how we use the mountains there as our guide, and it made it so much easier. So now I'm going to go back in. I'm going to use my eraser, handy-dandy eraser. And I'm going to erase those initial mountains that I made, those first spiky marks. And I think you're going to start seeing the outline of our flame is looking really pretty cool. Now there's a couple more things to do to make this look really great, so don't think I'm done yet. I'll make my eraser a little bigger here. And remember, if you erase too much, just go back over your lines. It's really not that hard to do. I see kids get really panicked when they accidentally erase more than they meant to. But I mean, you're gonna be able to see where you made that mark before. So that's why it's important to press down lightly so you don't have that happen everywhere. But it's okay. You can always redraw your lines. If you have so many eraser marks you can barely tell which line you drew and which one's fresh, then use marker. Go over the lines that you like the most, and then use another set of colors to color it in. Especially with the flames here, you're going to want to color these in. So along with your pencil, I'm hoping you can gather yourself some colored pencils, some crayon, or some marker. If you want to, watercolor paint would also work for this, although a little more challenging because we're going to try to separate the colors. So I'm just going to finish up erasing these lines. And as you guys know, flames are not just orange or just red. They usually kind of are kind of moving along the color spectrum of warm colors as you get further up and along them. So we are going to be doing that ourselves. We're going to be grabbing our warm colors. So, warm colors. Red. Come on, you better know that one. What's another one? Orange, right? So very close to red, just a little more yellow in it. Oh, well that brings us to the next one, yellow. So orange, red, and yellow are our warmest colors, and they're the ones we're going to be primarily using here. Now if you want to get a little creative and you want to throw a little bit of like purple in there, you could do that if you feel like it. Certainly flames can take on that purple hue. Sometimes flames are even blue, but that's as they kind of move along the spectrum. So there's like, that red to purple to blue. And that is usually only when there's gas involved to really make it like super hot. So, just a little bit of science right there for you. So anyways, I got my flames. I'm going to go over a couple of these lines to kind of make them look a little better. Okay, now the next part of this. I'm going to actually what's called inline. Instead of outlining, we're going to go over the interior of these lines again. And we're just going to kind of copy these. Now, we don't have to make them exactly the same. In fact, it's okay if you don't. Now, one thing is, I don't want to, if I really got close, if I were really like out or inline this super, super close, exactly the same all the way up, once I get to some of these spots up here, all the way to the top, I'm like, okay, I made it all the way up. Well, how am I going to make it back down without running into myself? Well, I really can't. So what I want you to do is when things get really tight up there, just come back down a little bit early. All right, what that means is that your flames, man, I'm having issues. And that's why I never blame you guys for wanting to use your erasers. All right, so I'm doing kind of a more simplistic bit here. Obviously, like these flame tendrils are a lot less detailed on the next layer, and that's actually kind of what I want. Okay, and let's do one more layer. This time they're just like little nubs of points going up into the flames here. So I think you guys can really see how the flames are happening now. I think this looks pretty good as a flame. So now here's a really, really big one. Add the little bits of flame that break off up top here. And that is, as the flame burns, there are pieces of air that ignite further up, and then the tendrils down below kind of detach. So you get these little bits that look, I don't know, kind of like these weird kind of almond shapes coming off. So I would definitely add a couple of those because I think that really just makes the flames look cooler. Okay? And now let's add a little bit of color. That color's going to make it look great. And look at this. I even have like a nice set of warm colors down over here. So I'm going to use this kind of orange right here in the middle. I'm going to use my red on the exterior bits of flames. And then, oops. And I'm going to use a little bit of yellow to do the very inside of it. Now, I want some good contrast. So I would also check making a cool background color. So I'll think about that in a second. Let's add that yellow. Boom. Yes! Flames! And they look pretty good, So this has been a kind of a cool way to do it. If you want to, throw like that blue is going to be a high contrast color. Boom. Looks like a race car going sideways. And the cool thing is, remember I told you flames always burn upward, where, well, there is an exception to that rule, and that is if the wind is blowing, whoosh, the wind can blow the flames to one side because it literally moves the air, which is the fuel for the fire, and that changes. So if you see flames on the side of a car, the flames look like they're going sideways. But look at this. If you notice, it looks better if I tilt it here, like tilt it left, because the flames are still kind of licking mainly upward. And that is because, you see how that kind of bends up over here too? And that's because that just looks better, like it's really a live flame in that way. If the flames curve down, if you go the other way, I don't think it quite looks as good because only a couple of these tendrils come up. and that's just less kind of realistic. The flames always do want to climb up, even if the wind is blowing them, they're always going to kind of still try to curve up as well. So kind of keep that in mind. So these are my flames. I think they're pretty awesome. Definitely add this as a cool texture to make things, look great. Got the fire going on. It could be a race car. It could be just flames burning. It could be like a cool background for like a fire. Whatever way you want to do it. I just feel like that's a challenging thing to draw sometimes. So keep drawing, keep drawing, keep drawing. Make what you can. Don't be upset about making mistakes. It's all part of getting better. And I will catch you guys next time. See you later.